Welcome to another great, awesome edition of Marketing Unleashed. I'm Jeff C. from Mainly Pinterest Tips and Social Media News Live, and we've got I don't know if you've known this, but there's been some news about Instagram, and we're going to be talking. Yeah, just a little bit, and we're going to be talking all about that today. Elisa, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jeff. And just before you hit the button, we were talking about your bee suit. And I think that we should get votes for who wants Jeff to show up next show in his bee suit.
Maybe my hat. I don't know if you want to see my...
I totally vote for this.
Yeah. So it's my neighbors. They're just like, there's either just a crazy wild man out there or this crazy dude
man
in a bee suit. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, honey, man, it's awesome. Nature's good. I haven't made mead yet. I need to try that, but I haven't done that.
Oh, cool.
So enough about me. We're here to talk about Jenn Herman, who is an amazing person. I've known Jenn since the Google Plus days. That's been a while.
All the way back.
Yeah, and so she has just rocked it. I'm getting some sort of echo. Do you guys hear that? Is it just me? Let me turn myself down. But one of the things is since that time, she's written like 4 books. And so like if you're watching over on Amazon Live, I've put them down in the carousel. If you have any interest in Instagram for business, all her books are listed down there. So make sure you check them out because I don't know, you'll know at the end of this show, but she's super smart about all this stuff. So I can't wait for you to talk to her about all sorts of stuff. But before we get started, I want you guys to let you guys know about this amazing webinar that Elisa has put together at bit.ly/TW social selling. It's all about selling on social. Elisa, break it down for us. What is this about? Why should people sign up for this?
Yeah, so I think that we know social is good for selling, social is good for community, blah, blah, blah. But I think where I, anyway, kind of fall short is thinking about, have I hit all the areas of my funnel with social? Because you can hit it from that first brand awareness all the way through consideration and through the purchase and then through activation. So getting people to talk about you. So how, like practically speaking, how can you do that on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram? So kind of thinking about, all right, where am I doing really well? Like, ignore that part. Feel free to fast forward, but really focus on those areas where you can step it up a bit. And there's a PDF as well, because I feel like the webinar is a lot of like, do this, this, and this. The PDF goes great with it, so you can just kind of mark off like, this is what I'm going to add this week, so you don't get overwhelmed.
So here we go. I wanted to say some shout outs to some of our friends. We've got Trona going, hello. So she must be on a cliff somewhere.
Hey, Trona.
Jill wants to see the Bill's bee suit. Oh my gosh.
Told you.
This is just not going to happen. Our friend Sally Howe from across the pond says, hello, everybody. And Shelly says, I left another Facebook Live to join you guys.
Ooh.
You chose wisely.
Wow.
So, yes,
because Jen's here.
Yeah, so why don't you introduce our friend Jenn Herman, because she's amazing. And so, Elisa, I'll leave that up to you while I start clicking buttons.
Yeah, so Jenn is an incredible speaker. She has amazing shoes.
True.
And she is, you know how some people are like internet famous just because they're internet famous, and you're like, how did that ever happen? This is not the case with Jenn, because she lives, eats, breathes, sleeps Instagram. So when I have a question about Instagram, I go to her Facebook group, which is Jenn's Trends, and there's going to be an answer there. Or if there isn't, I can ask, and there will be in a moment, because Jenn is up on all of this good stuff. So when I was thinking about, I have some Instagram questions. You're the first one that came to mind. So we're just thrilled to have you here. Thank you.
So also, real quick, too many buttons. Cassandra says, hey, Jenn, I follow you on Instagram. And by the way, if you would like to follow Jenn on Instagram, you can go to @JennsTrends. That's @JENNS_trends. And that's how you can find out about her and follow her. So do that, because she is amazing. All right, let's get this show started.
Okay, I am getting a little bit of an echo from you, Jeff.
Jenn, I have headphones on. Jenn, can you turn your speakers down if you have them up a little bit? I think maybe that would be it.
Yeah, or I can try to throw in some headsets. Hold on.
Okay. All right.
Talk amongst yourselves, everybody.
So, raise your hands if you saw or heard about the founder of Instagram and his announcement from, what was it, last week or the week before?
Oh my gosh! It set the whole world a Twitter on Twitter and everywhere else.
It did. Yeah. So basically, what he said is Instagram is no longer a photo sharing app. We want to have entertaining video, just like Boo is, Tiffany says. Just like TikTok. And so that's what it is. And so instantly everyone, well, Jenn knows she was in the middle of all this. So what did you see? Ripples, yes, at least.
All right. Hopefully this audio is better. I mean, hopefully that eliminates the echo for you guys. Okay. Yeah. So Jeff and I were actually talking in the pre-show about when Adam Mazzari came out, and it was like in a 3-minute video, right? Like as a casual comment at the end of the video, he said, Instagram isn't a Square-based photo sharing app anymore. It's an entertainment destination. And it was like in this context of the whole thing. And I watched the video and was like, okay, whatever, no big deal, go about my life. And then the fear-based marketers came out. All of like the articles started jumping on, head of Instagram says it's, this is not what it is anymore. And it's not a photo sharing app and da-da-da. And I was like, well, there goes the next 24 hours of my life, because now I'm going to have to deal with all of his rumors. And so it really was like, he should have said it's not just a Square photo sharing app anymore. But in reality, it never was just a Square photo sharing app. It was originally for filters, and then it kind of evolved into a social media platform, and then it kind of evolved into, well, we'll do some videos, and then it kind of evolved into, well, we'll do stories, and we'll have carousels, and we'll have ads, and it's never been just that. Even though when it first started, it was the Square photos, but it was never just with that intention. So it's definitely one of these things that, it was massively taken out of context. Nothing about Instagram is changing. The fact that they had to do research to realize that Instagram is an entertainment destination makes me want to, figure out how I can get on, that paid research team. Right. But I'm like, who needs research on this? Like, of course it's an entertainment destination. Like, you're not going there for news. You're not going there, to do your job. Like, it's clearly for the average person, it's entertainment. You're going there to watch.
Just asked you,
right? So, like,
yes.
Go ahead.
So I was going to ask. So, but yes, it's going to be more than that. But didn't he also kind of say that we are going to put more? I don't know. Weight would be the word, but more emphasis on video and the entertainment and the short form stuff. And like Lori says this, she goes, they have already been favoring videos and showing them more as a social media manager. This is exhausting. So I get her pain. I really do.
Yes.
And there's going to be a push towards video, right? Like that's everywhere. Kind of inevitable. And when it comes to Instagram stories, that's always favored videos. It's the type of platform is ideal for video over photo and text, because you can watch a quick 10-15 second video versus trying to read something really quick in 7 seconds. So it's always kind of favored that. Reels obviously is video centric and is a huge attack against TikTok, which is obviously their largest and most significant competitor. So yeah, we're going to see more of an emphasis on video, but that doesn't mean you're not still going to have photos. It doesn't mean that the feed goes away. Mm-hmm. Over time, we may see a shift. We may see more videos popping up in the feed. It may default to a video feed, and you have to click on the photo feed to see photos instead of videos. It might be one more button to get there. So it's going to be an evolution. Absolutely. We're going to see more video. I think that's inevitable across a lot of platforms. Everyone's embracing things like live video and video capabilities and all these, although Twitter said goodbye to fleets apparently. So right. they're the one company that is like, screw the stories, we're out.
Well, first of all, they named it after a thing to clear out yourself before you have a colonoscopy. So I'm like, why would you name it that anyway? But that's neither here nor there. But here's the question, and I think the biggest concern when people hear this, and you mentioned that yes, we may see a shift, but actually saying like the concern is that they're pushing video and moving away from photos, which means those primary that post photos won't get as much reach, and that's what I think for a lot of small businesses who hear this, and we have a lot of people who watch the show and they're, it's hard enough for them to do photos and have a photo strategy and all this stuff. And now they're saying it's going to be, more reach will go to video. And I feel their pain because, it's hard. Yeah. And even photos aren't getting as much reach. We had on another show, Social Media News Live last Friday, we had Peg Fitzpatrick talking about this. And she was saying, my Instagram from a year ago is way different than my Instagram is now, reach-wise. So what do you tell people who are struggling with, do they need to flip their strategy? Do they need to, go all in on video? What are you telling these people who are actually that we're struggling with this?
Well, I think the big thing that a lot of people have to realize, and Adam Mazzari has talked about this as well, Instagram today is definitely different than it was a year ago. The pandemic changed how people interact online and when they interact online. People used to only check Instagram on their commute, or only at lunch, or only on the weekends. Now they're like, well, I'm sitting at home doing nothing. So they're on there at different times. More brands embraced social media and Instagram during the pandemic because they had no other means of communicating with their audiences. So we saw a huge uptick in consumer behavior in how, they're consuming the content. And then in terms of the businesses, how they're creating the content. And, like all good marketers ruin everything. They're like, more is better. And then that's saturation. And then that alienates audiences. And it becomes this, kind of vicious circle of chaos. And so right now, like the last year is an outlier across the board. You cannot look at what's going on today, 6 months ago, and a year ago in any sort of normal context compared to what you were doing prior to 18 months ago. And what we're going to have going forward over the next 6 to 12 months, we don't know. Will things start to go back to, quote, normal pre-COVID days where people are in the office more and they go back to commute time and lunchtime, usage? Will more people be working from home? Will more people, still want to use social media in the same way or differently? Are they going to move to things like TikTok or Clubhouse? Or are they going to want to stick with the Instagrams and the Facebooks? There's so much that has evolved in the last 18 months that we can't just say, oh, well, yeah, what worked then works now, because the whole platform, the entire ecosystem is different. So yes, we do have to look at our strategies. We do have to look at what's working. Look at your posting frequency. If your reach is down and you're posting every day, try posting 3 times a week. If your reach is down and you're posting once a week, try posting 3 or 4 times a week. Go up or down, change your frequency. Look at doing things related to, more stories or more reels versus doing feed posts. So you can commit the same time in your strategy, do 1 or 2 feed posts and do twice as many stories. You're going to have to look and be strategic, but you also have to realize that we need to test these things over time, 6 to 8 weeks. And then by the time we finally figure it out, it may change again. The only comfort, if I can give you any comfort, is you're not alone. Like, right. I realize it's frustrating, but it's not like you're the only person out here going, oh, well, my reach is down and I'm getting no engagement and Instagram sucks. Everybody's feeling the pain, and it's a platform ecosystem that has changed. We need to evolve and give our audience what they want. Go look at your insights. Look and see what content is performing well. If reach is down from last year, okay, what's performing well right now? Do more of that. Try doing reels. I'm the first person to be like, Mama ain't touching reels. Okay, we all know Jen doesn't like reels. But that doesn't mean I won't try them. Doesn't mean I won't incorporate them. Doesn't mean I'm not telling people to use them, because for most people, they're incredibly valuable. And if you start intermixing some of those, it could help with your overall reach, because Facebook, aka Instagram, will put the reach where they want it to go. And right now they want it on reels. So if you really want to change your strategy and try to get more reach, it's time to embrace reels.
Yeah. So suck it up, everyone, is what Jenn said. Suck it up.
So if you want to get your account engagement up, all right, yes, use reels and those will get more engagement. But if you're creating reels, will that do anything to help the reach of the rest of your content, or no?
It has been hypothesized, yes. I have not tested this personally. I have seen others who have tested it and shown positive results. Because if you post, let's say, 1 reel a week or even 2 a month or something like that, because that engagement is up, it's going to likely boost the production of your other content. If you have high performing content, your other content typically performs or at least gets more reach as well, because Instagram says, well, if everyone like this, they'll probably like your other content. So just algorithmically, that can work. Also, Instagram has said that they are rewarding Reels creators, meaning there is probably something on the back end that says if you're regularly creating Reels, they are going to reward you with other boosts in other content performance in order to get more reach across the board so that you keep creating the content that they want you to create.
Interesting. So okay. I've got a bunch of questions.
Shocking.
I know. First of all, is that the people, some of the biggest groups that freaked out were photographers. So what do you tell now? And we have like Sally Howe in the audience, and she's a photographer. She does jewelry, and I know a lot of her stuff is photos. Now she does a great job with video because I've seen her video pins as well. So what do you tell photographers, because they're like, this Instagram was my jam. That's where I was at all the time. So I mean, are they gonna have to start animating their photos, or that's the loudest group that I've heard from so far.
And I agree, and it is hard, right? Because photographers, you know, we actually go find photographers on Instagram. Like if I'm looking for a photographer, I don't go to Google, I go to Instagram. I want to see their photos. I want to see what they do. Like your website is confusing. Instagram, that's easy, right? So photographers rely heavily on Instagram as a platform to build their audiences, to grow, you know, that presence, to gain customers and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to just kind of, you know, be consistent. You're going to have to kind of push through a little bit of resistance right now with diminished reach and those sorts of things. But consider doing something where, again, share, you know, to stories, create a reel once a month, even just do it consistently. That's maybe a behind the scenes of a photo shoot. Do something that gets some of that added content that keeps your photography higher in performance. So we're not going to force ourselves into video. Like if you look at my profile, I think I've posted like 5 videos in like 8 years. Okay. Like I don't do videos. I do videos elsewhere. I go live. I do things like this. I do YouTube, but I don't put videos on Instagram for the most part. So look at ways that you can, like me, struggle a little bit with the photo content, but look for ways that you can create some video content, whether it's a Reels, whether it's sharing your feed post to stories so that people in your stories are going, oh, she's got new content. Let me jump over there. Or create a story sequence that, you know, has some of your still photos in there and then says, you know, for more, go here, or make sure you check out our profile. I mean, you can do your own cross promotion in there. Look at other means, you know, when you're doing anything online, right? Whether it's even on Facebook, if it's on, you know, Twitter, Pinterest, whatever else, you can always cross-reference back to Instagram, right? So you can have one photo that you put over if you have people in other platforms and say, for more of this, come over to Instagram. Like drive people to that content. When you drive that content behavior from followers already, but non-followers, people that are seeing it in the hashtags, people that are coming over because they saw another link and maybe they're not following you on Instagram. They're, you know, coming over because they saw it shared in somebody else's story and they're coming over. Those non-follower views and performance significantly boost your overall performance as well. So those are ways to, again, keep your content traditional to you. You do photos. It's fine. You can still do photos. I promise. But we need to find ways to make sure that people are seeing that with some boosts in other tactics. But once you establish, like your audience knows you do photos, like they're going to see your photos if they're interacting with it. I should also point out that this is one of the things a lot of people struggle with, is that your content has to resonate with that individual user, right? So if Elisa always loves my content, but Jeff is like, oof, this Jenn Herman chick, she crazy. And, you know, if Elisa's always looking at my content and interacting with it in any way, even it doesn't have to be a like, a comment, a share, anything recognizable. If she just swipes the carousel, if she reads my caption, if she's doing anything positive like that with my content stays high in her feed. But everyone else's performance has very little impact on Jeff's feed, because if he's continuously ignoring my content and pretending like, I don't care about it, it's irrelevant to me, it's not appealing to me, it's not catching my eye, I'm not stopping to look at it, then I start to rank lower and lower in Jeff's individual feed, regardless of what other people are doing. So the popularity plays in. I know, Jeff. I mean, come on.
We're starting liking your post now. Yeah.
the popularity plays a factor in search, but not in your users, your actual followers feeds. So you really need to look at those insights. Look and see what's performing, what types of content. Is it when you have the behind the scenes content? Is that what gets the most engagement? Okay, commit to doing one of those a week, because that's going to keep the engagement up. If it's when you post photos of your dog, post the photo of the dog, keep your engagement up. And then that helps keep all your other content up as well.
So, Elisa, before you ask the next question, I want to, because I didn't do this at the start of the show, I want to make sure, because we're rocking it right now with viewers and comments. It's just like crazy. So if you know of somebody that you're like, oh my gosh, they're talking about Instagram and what's going on, feel free to mention them, call them into the conversation down below. Even if they watch the replay, this is just, already Jenn has dropped a ton of great stuff. And sprinkle the love across the interwebs. We'd love for you guys to let other fellow Instagram enthusiasts know about this and what the heck is going on. So
I know, and if you look in the comments, I mean, people are helping each other like crazy over there too.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people talking about animating photos and all this stuff that you can do in Canva. So I tell you, our community is the best.
Another favorite tip is carousels, because carousels give you the double exposure, right? So if you have 2 or more photos, then if someone doesn't interact with your photo the first time they see it, Instagram, the next time they log in, will show it to them again with the second post in the sequence, whether it's a video or a photo. So it's double the exposure if people aren't interacting with the first one. So post multiple, like if you're a photographer, post multiple photos from that photo shoot, 2 to 10, whatever you want. Not all the time. We don't want to overdo the carousels and like totally saturate our audiences, but it's another way to boost that performance. Or do 1 photo and 1 video, or like an animated photo with a photo. Like, use those carousels to mix in that content and give yourself that added exposure.
Awesome. Tons of tips.
All right. IGTV.
Oh God.
Tell me about it. I'd like to just set you up.
Can I plead the fifth on this one? Can I take a pass?
We haven't spoken of it, and I wonder why.
IGTV. This is one of those situations. Someone actually said this in my group. We were talking about something yesterday in the group, and about it was about fleets and about forcing things on audiences, and like we're kind of like, well, maybe Twitter just like actually realized no one cared about it, and rather than forcing it down our throats, IGTV, they decided to kill it. And so we had this banter kind of going on about IGTV in there in one of the comments, and it is unfortunately this thing that Instagram just won't kill, even though it has died probably a handful of times and been resuscitated, and they keep trying to keep it alive. IGTV will never be successful unless they bring it in app. And while you can view an IGTV in the feed and then click keep watching, how many people click keep watching, right?
Most people, it has to be really good.
Feed, right? You have to really get their attention. They're either going through stories or they're going through the feed. And if it's not in that, people don't want to click keep watching and leave and go somewhere else. Additionally, Insta. It's always been short form. It was meant to be instant, brief snapshots of your life. It was not meant to be a 20-minute video. Instagram is the platform that people typically flip through and scroll through when they're in line at the grocery store or at Starbucks, or in those quick environments where they don't want to sit and consume large form or long form content. So IGTV goes against everything that is native to Instagram with quick, accessible, short form content. Now, doesn't mean it can't be successful. Doesn't mean that you can't still use IGTV. I personally have told all my clients, anybody that asks me, I'm like, do not create content exclusively for IGTV unless you are the outlier who's having crazy good success. If you can create regular content on IGTV, by all means, do it. But for most people, that means repurposing. Take something you've put on, Facebook or YouTube or elsewhere, and repurpose that video, throw it up on IGTV, throw a caption on there, create a cover photo for it, and call it a day. If you can do that once a month and create consistent content, great, virtual high five, good on you. But it's not going to transform your strategy. it's not likely to do anything to boost reach or performance unless you have an audience that is looking to consume that type of content. You've conditioned them into it and they are already doing it. Great. Otherwise, awesome. Don't worry about it.
So a comment right here. I always thought carousels hurt your reach. Thank you. Loving all these golden nuggets. Yeah, we're chock full of golden nuggets today.
So chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started. We always talk about food and I get hungry.
I know, because you never eat lunch before the show.
So which I could go without like a couple of days of that. I've got my winter storage on. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because the news last week, a couple things, this big thing by the head of Instagram, but also like TikTok went up for like, they're now 3-minute long length of videos you can post up there. And, YouTube Shorts is rolled out globally, all this stuff. And to your point about Instagram, the short amount of content, do you think more and more of all the stuff that we need to create as content creators, as business owners, needs to really think about that short form video style content, how to hook them, how to keep them watching until the end of 3 minutes, which seems like a long amount of time, but it is. It's a lot of time to keep people engaged for that long. Is that something that you are recommending to your clients that we need to do, is really start, okay, everything's going to this short video content. How can we do that with stories and the reels and all the stuff that's going out?
Yeah, and if you have not noticed yet, as you two obviously know, brevity is not my strong suit, okay? If you can say it in 100 words, I can say it in 500. And okay, like, let's face it, I am like short form content, not my jam, okay? I need like a 3,000 word blog post and a 20-minute video to say what you could have said in 2 sentences. So I am not a fan of short form content, but that is the direction. And I've been telling people this for at least the last probably, 18 to 24 months, as we saw, the pickup with stories, as TikTok started to gain traction. This is what we have conditioned the audience into, especially the younger demographic. If you are going after anybody under the age of 35, you need to be focused on this short form content. And TikTok at 3 minutes is not short form content. That is long form content in that user base. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually shocked they went to 3 minutes. I see why they did it. And I know a lot of TikTokers were doing like, part 1, part 2, part 3, and then people would see the part 3 and then be like, wait, where was and you're having to go back. And so now they're letting creators create that longer form video. I get it. And I trust me, I understand how hard it is to put your content into 30 seconds or 60 seconds. But we as a culture, as a social media industry, have programmed our audiences to have attention spans of under 60 seconds. It's why when you have an Instagram story sequence, if you go beyond 6 or 7 posts, which is typically that 1 minute mark, give or take time-wise, we see huge retention issues. It's really hard to keep people engaged in that kind of content for anything more than a minute. Now, doing a live show, doing a webinar, that's different. People show up anticipating giving you 30, 60 minutes of their time. Scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through TikTok, they're not wanting to give away minutes and minutes of their time. So, yes, we really need to think about it.
I mean,
talk to my daughter.
If they give you minutes and minutes across the platform, not per person.
Exactly. That was the distinction I wanted to make. Yeah. I have to ban myself from TikTok most of the time because that's
and an average user spends over an hour on TikTok and spends about an hour on Instagram per day. So people are spending plenty of time on these platforms.
Yeah.
But it's that they want to consume quickly. And if it's a short piece of content, they want to go back and watch it again, right? They like the looping videos. They want to watch that, guy fall on his face 13 times in a row because it's hilarious. But they don't want to watch a 3-minute video about it, right? They like the 20 seconds first. So it's how it's consumed.
So that being said, you talked about IG Live, and we had, like I mentioned, that other show, we had a Peg on talking about that. And because Trona says this too, she goes, Instagrams are paying creators to use IGTV. Sounds like TikTok a little bit. And there's this an announcement too that they're spending, I can't remember, Facebook and Instagram are paying creators so many millions of dollars to do this.
1 billion.
1 billion. Yeah. And so like Peg they're paying her to go live, like I think once a week. There's like this thing, they're kind of gamifying it. So, which I'm paying creators, I'm all for it. They need to do more of that because that's our content that made them all this money.
Right, exactly.
So, you know, do you think going live on Instagram is a good strategy? Let's forget about if you're getting paid by Facebook or not. But do you think is that something you do on Instagram? Is that a good thing to do?
I am a huge proponent of Instagram Live. Now, that being said, I have not been doing much for Instagram Live for a couple reasons. One is because, again, when the COVID era started and everyone went on live and it literally was crashing Instagram and like you couldn't go on Instagram and not see 10 people live at the same time, I was like, okay, we're going to take a pause on the live strategy because I'm not going to compete with this. But even now, like that, it's kind of, you know, tapered off and it's a little bit more normal. I've actually started doing my live show on Facebook for my personal reasons and everything else. And a lot of it honestly has to do with testing. And it's kind of hard to test things when I'm doing it on the one platform and I have to like go back and forth. So that's why I'm not currently doing it. I'm testing doing Facebook Live right now. But that being said, I'm a huge proponent of Instagram Live. And I think it's an incredibly powerful way to connect with your audience. I work with a lot of real estate agents and I'm like, go live, like, please go live. It's such a chance to give people a real interpretation of what's going on, a real experience of what is happening, getting to know who you are. Like, you can watch an edited YouTube video where you've cut out all the ums and the ahs and the stumbles and the made up words, because I'm notorious for making up words in sessions. And you can cut all that out and have this perfectly polished video, but no one really knows who you are. Did you script that? Did you actually answer those questions? How much do you really know about the topic? You know, how good is that product when it's been edited 14 times to fit into that short video? But when you go live, people see for real what happens, right? They get to know you, they get to know your voice, your nuances. They're seeing what's happening with that product or that experience firsthand. You can't edit it out. You can't fake it. And so there's such a trust factor that ties in with that. And people, especially if you're doing like an episodic type live show where you go live every Tuesday at 9 a.m., every Thursday at 5 p.m., people know they will show up. They want to tune in, much like we're doing the live show right now, and they want to be a part of that. But you have to make it consistent. If you're just spontaneously showing up randomly live at weird and random times and people aren't expecting it, it's of course going to be harder to build, you know, any sort of live content strategy off of that.
Awesome.
I have a dumb question.
There are no dumb questions here.
Okay, what happens to your Instagram Live when you're done?
Oh God. That's a good question. It's not a dumb question because they keep changing it. Okay. So now Instagram Live, when you are done, can go to IGTV. That's it.
Oh,
it does not stay with your stories for 24 hours like it used to, which is stupid, if you ask me. And again, this is Instagram trying to like breathe life into IGTV, where they're like, oh, okay, if you don't show up live for the live show, you have to go watch it on IGTV. It gets people onto the platform. The problem with that, replay views are down significantly for everyone that I've talked to that does IG Live, because they used to be able to get people to watch it in the stories for 24 hours. So you knew if I went live at 9 a.m., but you weren't going to be able to watch it till 5 p.m., you knew it was there and you knew you could watch it and you could make the time for it. People don't want to go to IGTV and they're not going to see it, right? In the live replay, in the stories, it was still there. It still showed you it was there. Now that it's an IGTV, it's not there. Well, and it's such a bad idea.
Couldn't you share your IGTV once it's to the replay on your live to IGTV? Couldn't you share that to your story? You can't.
Nope.
What?
That's ridiculous, Instagram.
Because when you do an IGTV, you can do the share, right? You can like share it to your feed, not when you're doing the save. It just saves it to IGTV.
But you can't go back into your IGTV and save it from there or make a story?
Or share it to your feed?
Yeah. We got it all figured out, Instagram. Come on.
Come on. Yeah, come on.
So
we'll
speaking
tell you for free.
of things that are, you're talking about your audience on IGTV. We have the best audience here. We really do. You guys are awesome in the comments. By the way, before we go too much further, I want to make sure you guys, for our audience, we have this great thing at bit.ly/TW Social Selling. It's an awesome webinar to help you with some of this stuff. I think a lot of it you could apply to Instagram.
Instagram's in there, yeah.
Yeah, so go check it out. Alicia's put it together at bit.ly/TW social selling. But we have a ton of questions.
We do. Let's do some questions.
Do you want me to? Do you want to save them and do rapid fire, or do you have some more questions?
We never get to the lightning round, so
okay. Well, we'll just do it. So
let's do the question.
This is Laura. Yes. She goes. I don't know if this is asked already, but will editing on IG post once it's posted stifle your reach?
Great question. Bad rumor. Bad myth. Not true. You can absolutely edit a post after publishing. 2 seconds later, 2 minutes later, 2 days later, 2 months later, it doesn't matter. You are absolutely entitled to do it. It will not impact your reach or performance in any way, shape, or form. Fix a typo, add something you forgot to list. You forgot to put your call to action there. Fix a hashtag, add a hashtag, do whatever you want. What Instagram does not like is bulk activity. So what you don't want to do is go in and edit 10 posts back to back. That's bad behavior that looks spammy or too salesy or too manipulative. So they will punish you with reduced reach and possibly even put you in Instagram jail if you edit too many posts in too close of a time period, basically back to back. But if you found a typo, if you need to add something, if you want to go back, if you ran a campaign and you want to go back and hit it, change to, contest closed or winner announced or whatever, yeah, go for it. Instagram doesn't care.
Wow, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you because I believed that. So thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
So, Sally, I've heard this a lot. People saying that people are wanting less polish and more real now for sure. So when you were talking about the live video, do you think that even in your main feed on Instagram that is true?
This became especially an issue during the pandemic. Okay. And the reason why, especially for influencers, celebrities, the big brands, how are you out there doing a photo shoot when we're all under, home confinement and wearing masks? So people were getting really skeptical of these overly polished, perfect images when everyone's, put on, as you quote, the winter weight, and we're all stuffing our face with bags of Cheetos all day long because we aren't going to leave our house and who's going to see us. So the raw, the kind of unfiltered definitely made a bit of a resurgence during that kind of period. Additionally, you have to understand, most people, I tend to be the exception to a lot of rules, so it doesn't work for me, but most people get way more conversions and way more interactions from their Instagram stories than they do from their feed. And the reason why is because it tends to be more raw. Even if it's got a filter on it, it tends to be that spontaneous content, right? You kind of fumble over your words, you say something quick, the audio is not great, it's a quick photo, you do a couple quick filters on it and you call it a day. Whereas on our feed, we only put the overly polished, the perfectly staged photo with the photographer, with the Photoshop editing, with the perfect caption, and we put all this effort into it because it's going to live forever and it's got to be amazing. It's going to be perfect. But everyone's looking at your stories being like, well, this is you. This is the fun you. This is the exciting you. And then I see the polished version of you and you're like, meh. So there's definitely been that shift where people do want more raw content, even in the feed.
Yeah. Good for me because I always look raw. I look very raw every time. It doesn't matter if I have people touching me up. Doesn't matter. I've got a face for Photoshop. So here, this is from Nicole. She goes, what if we don't want Reels to sit on our profile page since it doesn't look the same as your feed?
So a couple options. Your Reels don't have to go to your feed. You can publish Reels as Reels only. When you put it to your feed, all you're doing is ensuring that your followers see it. Well, and even then you're not really ensuring it, but you're putting it in the feed of your followers at some point. So you don't have to toggle that option on. You can choose not to share it in your feed, which would allow it to just be on just the Reels, or you could share it to your stories and Reels, but that allows it to show up in the Reels Explorer if it's relevant, allows people to see it on your Reels tab because there's a tab now where you can go to Reels, so your Reels would still be there if someone wanted to come to your profile and look at your Reels. And the other thing you can do is if you wanted to, because you want to get in front of your audience, you can put it on your feed, and then after 48 hours, a week, whatever it is, you could choose to archive it off of your feed. So it still remains a reel, it still remains active, but you archive it out of your feed.
Very, very cool. So here's a great one. In terms of reach, is it better to do videos in IG stories or in the feed?
Stories.
Why is that?
So, and I'm not saying that things haven't changed, because Instagram likes to change things all the time. And I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions, and I have no data to back this up one way or the other. But in the past, as of like last year, algorithmically, Instagram does not give preference to photos over videos. Now, when I say that, I mean videos in the feed. I'm not talking IGTV and Reels videos, because that's a totally different story. Those do get preferential placement 100%. But a video feed post versus a photo feed post, one is not preferred over the other algorithmically. Now, if your audience prefers videos, then they're more likely to interact with those. They're going to see those higher in their feed, because that's the content they've told the algorithm they want to see. So in that sense, no, it's not advantageous as of my understanding, and things can change, and Instagram doesn't tell us everything, so it could be different. But as of recently, algorithmically, there isn't that preference. But in stories, absolutely, do the videos up there. People love story videos. And if you can, like, I mean, again, do some cross posting. If you've got a good feed audience, like, so for example, if I do a feed post, on average, easily 4,000 to 5,000 reach on any feed post I share. My average Instagram story reaches about 400 people. That's a 10x difference.
Right.
So I don't use a lot of stories. It doesn't work as well for me. Like I said, I'm the exception to a lot of rules. So I will continue to put my focus more on feed posts than I do on Instagram stories. But again, you have to think about your audience, right? If your audience is only logging into Instagram once a week, then a feed post, they're more likely to see. You're going to get more reach, because that's going to get shown to them whenever they log in. If they're only logging in once a week and your Instagram story only lasts 24 hours, if they don't log in during that 24-hour window, they're not going to see it. And I have a lot of passive users on Instagram, because I meet a lot of people at conferences and a lot of places where they're like, oh, I listened to this Instagram session, I follow Jenn Herman, and I'll never use Instagram again. So I have a lot of passive, audience.
No, thank you.
I know, I'm like, only follow me if you're actually going to log into Instagram after that.
You should have a separate conference handle.
Right? One that like no one ever looked at. But so it is something that you have to kind of, consider your audience and what they do. But for the most part, I would say video is still more valuable if you're looking at stories.
So Bobby asked this question. She goes, I have a business account, so I've been blocked from using good music in my reels. Any tips for using the terrible music search interface to find decent music for reels?
But how do you really
I'm so sorry. I know. And I mean, this is like quickly becoming like the second question that I could retire on if I got paid every time I answered this question. The first question is, where do you put your hashtags? But this is closely becoming the second. But honestly, there's nothing you can do. And this has to do with Instagram is probably the one social media platform that actually seems to give any sort of concession to copyright regulations. Right. Yeah. And that's the purpose behind this, is that if you are a business profile, they assume that you are selling a product or service with the intention of making money. Therefore, if you are using royalty music, not royalty free, if you're using music that deserves to be paid, then if you technically are using it for business and you're making money off that music, you have to pay royalties on it. Just like every time you see a movie and there's music, they've paid for the rights to use that music in that movie, that TV show, that commercial. They buy the rights to that music. And so as a brand using music, you're supposed to pay royalties on it if you're using it for marketing. And that's the reason why it's in that kind of environment where they say you can't have good music, you can't have pop music, you get the royalty-free library, and it sucks. It is crappy music. I know. Right. And some people get the music sticker and then they take it away, or they get the good library and then they take it away, and it kind of goes back and forth. Depending on your business model, if you switch to a creator profile on Instagram, that will typically give you access after a period of time to the full music library, meaning instead of being a business profile, you sign up or you transfer over to being a creator profile. The downside to that is then you lose all API access, which means you can't use scheduling tools, right? Tailwind. You can't use reporting tools, like Tailwind, and you can't use chatbots, which have rolled out now to Instagram. So those things are only available to business profiles. So you kind of have to pick your poison. Do you really want the music? Or do you want the API interactions? And you cannot go back. You can switch back and forth as much as you want, But Instagram's not going to be like, oh, you switched to a creator profile, here's the music. Oh, you went to a business profile, great, we'll take the music away. Oh, great, here you go. Like, you can't go back and forth that quickly. You have to, kind of commit to it.
And it does go back and forth, like you get it and you don't. It's just, you never know when you're going to get the sticker, I guess. So we got a few more minutes with Jenn here. So you guys are asking some great questions. One of the questions I have is these new sharing stickers. I have not used those. Can you explain what those are and what their purpose is?
It's confusing.
Okay.
I'm like, this is complicated, okay? And to point out, this is a beta, this is a test, this is not rolling out.
Okay.
Or at least it's not rolling out yet. Maybe they'll do this. So for the last, 12, 18 months or so, Instagram has been complaining about how people share feed content to stories and how that typically does not get as much engagement. And they have discovered that most users don't like seeing shared content because it's not organic and natural to the stories environment. So they keep testing all of these different ways to share content. They're not saying they're going to take away the share feature. They're trying to figure out how to do it in the best organic way possible. So this current test, which is very complicated, is you get a sticker. So what you would do is you would create your story like normal. So I could take a photo of me, I could take a photo of the scenery, I could do whatever to create a story like normal. And then with the sticker, you click on that, it will populate all the recent feed posts that you've seen. So it has to be one that you've actually scrolled through the feed and seen. It'll populate it. Then you can choose which one you want, and then it puts that as like a square sticker on top of your story. It's getting confusing, right? I'm like, how does this work? I'm like, how does this make it organic? You still have this big giant square of the original like screen grab of the original feed post now just slapped on top of a background image. Like, this doesn't necessarily make it any more organic, but hey, this is what they're trying out. So it is kind of complicated where right now, if you have the share feature, right, you see a post in the feed, you click the share icon, share a story, boom, done. Like, you create your story around it. So the fact that this would essentially remove that functionality and you'd have to like choose to go into a story, launch a story, then go find the feed post that you just saw that you want to share.
Right.
I'm like, this is really cumbersome, but I think this is their intention.
That's the point. Yeah.
They don't want people to share. They want to make it complicated. They want to make it so you have to really want to share that piece of content, which I think is detrimental to creators. If I create a piece of high value content and it's easy for you to share it, of course you're going to share it. If now you have to go and launch a whole story and create the thing and take a photo and add all the things and add a sticker and then go find my post, remember which image was the post that tied to it, my shares are going to go down. And I rely a lot on shares, which we can talk about that rumor too, because I know that
we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
I rely on shares. That's how I grow my audience, because I share a newsworthy update about Instagram and people share it. Like, now you're taking away that functionality that as a creator is going to hurt me significantly from that capacity.
I love Lizzie that. Says, I want to go back to 2010, please. We can skip over the pandemic, but yes.
Yes.
So what was the question you wanted to ask, Elisa? So because we only got a few minutes left.
Yeah. So one of them is about saves. So that was a question I've seen in
the saves and shares.
Yeah. Saves and shares. Are they better than likes and comments or just like swiping through a carousel?
So this was the rumor that started back in I think it was January. This picked up steam and surfaced heavily. I addressed it in February. It seemed to have died off, and it seems to have resurfaced heavily again in the last
As they
month.
Do. Yes.
Right? I'm like, oh my God. So no. Again, algorithmically, if I look at your content, if I swipe through carousel, positive ranking. If I click ... more to read your caption, positive ranking algorithmically. If I scroll past your content and go back to it, positive ranking algorithmically. If I navigate to your profile from your post and do anything from there, click on the link in the bio, look at your profile, send you a DM, do anything, positive rankings algorithmically. All of those are weighted exactly the same as a like, a comment, a share, and a save. Instagram does not weight content. Facebook does. And that's where this myth came from. Facebook says certain types of activity are worth more. They also work in a popularity contest, meaning the more people interact more positively with your content, the more people they show it to. Instagram doesn't work that way. So if you always interact with my content in a way that does not give me a metric, meaning you swipe through the carousel, you read the caption, you stick a little longer on that photo to look at it than normal, you could literally never put a like, comment, share, or save on my content, and I would rank at the top of your feed because every single time you took some sort of positive interaction with my content. So the likes, comments aren't weighted any differently than a share or a save algorithmically. So you're not going to get any more reach or anything else in that way. Now, that being said, we want shares and saves because obviously saves have people coming back to regurgitate our content. It was valuable to them. That means that's high quality content you're serving your audience. We want that. We want shares. Shareable content means it's high quality. People want to tell more people. That's how you help grow your audience. We want to aim for shareable, savable content. But I know exactly when I post something if it's going to be a high share content. I can tell you immediately because I know this is going to be engagement, this is going to be high share, this is going to be lots of website clicks. I know which piece of content is going to drive what, and I'm not only doing the high share value because that doesn't serve my strategy. I also need the high website clicks. I also need the high engagement because if I get the high engagement, then they're going to see the website click requests. So it all has to go in. It's all valuable. And there's no weight across Instagram algorithmically that puts one over the other.
So you can kind of see why we have Jenn on the show to talk about Instagram. So do you think we should have a part 2? Let us know down below because I think maybe you guys might want to have her come back on the show. I'm just guessing. Just guessing. So really quick, a couple questions because we were talking about we were making jokes about conferences having a separate account. And Sally asked this really good question though. She goes, "Are you better deleting your passive followers, Jenn? Because Twitter, that was a thing. You would delete the inactive people. What are your thoughts on this?"
So for the most part, no. It depends on, again, your strategy. Now, if someone saw me at a conference and they chose to follow me, but they didn't log on to Instagram for the last 6 months, would it behoove me, algorithmically and engagement rate wise to delete them? I mean, if you want to do simple math, yeah. But what if they come back in 6 months? And what if they finally launch that Instagram strategy and they're ready to dive in and now they're not following me and they forget my name and they're like, oh, who is that person I listened to at that conference? And now they're not following me. Like, I lose the potential for that long-term relationship, and I'm going for longevity, not short-term, right? So for me, it's not advantageous. In the long run, for most people, if someone chose to follow you and if they're not engaging with your content, they're just probably not seeing it, right? Because they're probably ignoring it or it's falling low enough in their feed. You can remove them if you really want to. It kind of helps your overall numbers, again, if you look at the simple math, but it's not a detriment, again, from the algorithm, the content side. What Instagram is looking at in terms of content performance is how you perform with followers and non-followers. So if you have 20,000 followers and 5,000 are always interacting with your content, if you knocked it down to 15,000 and the same 5,000 are still interacting, Instagram doesn't care. That difference of who you kicked off is like, it's making your engagement rate look better because now you have 5,000 out of 15,000, you're at 30% versus, at 20%. But Instagram knows the same 5,000 people are still interacting with your content. So it's from that back end, it's not impacting your performance. It's really just a visual component. So I don't really recommend, deleting inactive users. I do tend to look at followers that follow me. If they tend to be what is obviously spam or, brand new accounts, or they have like 2 posts and they're following 3,000 people, block. I do a lot of that. I kind of preemptively choose who's allowed to follow me. But once someone's following me, I don't typically go back and worry about their activity level with my content.
Awesome. All right, Elisa, I know you wanted to ask this question, but Terry beat you to it, so you can read it.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And you know what? There are several other people who asked as well. How many hashtags should we be using now, and why are we asking this question?
So this came up recently. You can go to my YouTube channel for the long-winded answer because I know we're getting to the top of the hour. So you go to YouTube and just search Jenn's Trends. It's like one of my my last 2 videos. This actually came up because somebody who is a creator and influencer a couple weeks back, maybe almost a month ago, had a discovery call with Instagram where they gave him all this advice on how to be more successful on Instagram. One of the things this Instagram rep told him was to only use 8 to 15 hashtags per post, and that in doing so, you're better telling the algorithm what your content is about. If you use too many hashtags, you confuse the algorithm, and that ruins your search capabilities. So everyone, again, jumped on this, started freaking out, and this was the first time there was ever anything from Instagram that gave a specific number to use, right? Every time Instagram's like, you can use up to 30. Like, they always give very vague answers in interviews and publications.
Yeah, it's the technical limit.
Yeah. This was the first time there'd ever been like anything documented that came from somebody within the Instagram sphere that said a number. So of course everyone jumped on it. And while this is one of those like context things. I don't disagree with the context of what the rep said, which is that most people, when they're using 20, 25, 30 hashtags, they're trying to hit like the smorgasbord of content, right? So they're going broad and range and all the things and everything from, what's in the photo to the industry that you do to, your branding to, whatever's trending and hashtagging this and they go all over the place. And yeah, that does confuse the algorithm. And with keyword search, that is why this is important, because Instagram is moving towards keyword search. So it's looking at what's in your content, what's in your caption, what's in your hashtags, what's in your bio, what's in your content in general. If you're always posting about Instagram marketing, but all of a sudden you start posting about dogs, they're like, that seems a little odd. So it's looking at all of these things. And so if your hashtags are all over the place, it makes it hard for the AI to figure out where to place your content in keyword search. So no, there isn't a limit. You can absolutely use 30 hashtags, use 22, use 2. It doesn't matter how many you use. You want to keep them strategic to the content for which you want to be found. Meaning, if I was to go and take a photo right here, I wouldn't do things like, hashtag pink and hashtag glasses, because that's irrelevant. I would do things like hashtag social media marketing, hashtag Instagram marketing, hashtag, Instagram consultant, or any of those sorts of things. I'd use the names of the books. I would use hashtag mom boss. I would use any of those things that tie into who I am, what I do consistently, as well as being related to that content, rather than trying to go too broad and crazy all over the place.
Awesome. Well, Marnie goes, when we were asking how many parts, she said part 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah,
so,
I know. I saw a lot of response there. So, there's one question, though, we got to ask.
We have to leave it. We have to leave it. We don't have time. We have 3 minutes, and we have to give. What do you want to
It'll take 1 minute.
Jen will not answer it in a minute.
Can do it. She can do it. Okay. I recently heard, this is Lorena's, that you should use the alt text to add hashtags to boost your posts. Is there truth to that? They said that it makes them be at the top of every hashtag search.
No, it does not. Alt text, yes, absolutely. Not for hashtags, but definitely add alt text whenever you can. It is valuable. It is helpful. It does help in that search and that keyword search functionality, but don't dump it full of hashtags. Because the reason alt text is there is for screen readers. Screen readers can't read hashtags. So you're actually seriously messing with the people who rely on alt text by dumping it full of hashtags.
Yep. Yeah, and use hashtags and stories.
Drop the mic. Give her a hard stop, and she's awesome. No, I'm just kidding. Jen is amazing. Thank you so much for this. But we want to. I've been flashing it the entire. I haven't been flashing. I've been flashing the URL the entire time.
Thank you.
So make sure.
It's that kind of show.
Yes, this is G.
This is a family
Nobody wants
show.
to see that. Please walk away. Jen'sTrends.com is where you can find her, but also at Jen's Trends, and that's Jen with 2 N's. For the podcast listener. So it's at Jen's_trends to follow her on Instagram. Jen, where else can we find you, and where can we get your books, like your plethora of books that you have?
Yes, well, for the Amazon Live viewers, obviously you've linked to those. You can also go to jenstrends.com/books. All the links to the books are there. Those are for US-based users primarily. But you can go to Amazon, any major bookseller, and just search for Instagram for Dummies, and you will find both the Instagram for Business and the Instagram for Dummies books. And then if you really want to stay up on all things Instagram, join my Facebook group. Go to Facebook and search Jen's Trends in Social Media. You'll find the group. And it is the one place we talk all things breaking news related to Instagram. We actually talk everything there first. And then I usually post about it other places because we like to work out all the nuances and the confusion, like the sharing sticker. And then we'll talk about it in other places. So that's the place to be for all the breaking news.
Awesome. And do not forget the awesome webinar that Elisa put together at bit.ly/TW social selling. Go check that out. And with that, thank you guys so much. You guys have been amazing as always. Thank you for all your shares and your comments and all that you do. We would not be able to do the show without you guys here with us. Elisa, I'll let you have the last word.
The last word. Well, I got to go with what came to mind, and that was, Jeff, do you remember when you used to make those videos, those crazy, crazy videos? The one I remembering is of you in the shower in a raincoat. Stop. Do you remember those, Jen? Those were so good.
They're so bad.
They're so YouTube good. Somewhere. And yeah, you need to be doing that for Instagram. That's my last tip of the day.
There we go.
I want those are reels. That is reels gold right there.
So good. Yes, just repost it. Yeah. Everybody follow Jeff C to make sure he does it.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next time. Same place. Bye now.